Hello, everyone. Welcome to Double FM Sports. I'm Todd File.
And I'm Ethan Fager.
And once again, we are without JR. He's just taking an extended time to recover from brain surgery, if you remember. But hopefully we'll have him back next week. And so now for the latest in sports news. So we go to the NFL, and I mean, it's the off season. Not a whole lot's happening right now, but you have the draft, obviously, in about a month, and free agency, which is actively happening now. Mm-hmm. So, Ethan, what are your thoughts on this year's draft class?
I think this year's draft class is very good. I don't know if it's the best we've ever seen, but I think it's a very solid draft class, and I think position-wise, every position seems to be solid.
So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like quarterback position is definitely lacking.
You got Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Jordan Love, Justin Herbert.
Two of those people that you just said are valid. The other two are probably...
Who are the two people that are invalid?
Jordan Love and Justin Herbert.
What are they valid? They're good quarterbacks.
I know they're good quarterbacks, but I'm saying they're at least second or third rounders. Like, we don't have the same kind of headliners like we have in the past couple of drafts.
Well, right, but Tom Brady was a sixth rounder.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, not everyone is a Tom Brady. I'm just saying, Tua is debatable, okay? He's coming off of hip surgery. I can see that burning in your eyes because you're an Alabama fan.
Joe Burrow, I think, is definitely...
Joe Burrow is pretty much a lock to the Cincinnati Bengals at
Unless
this point.
They somehow decide to trade him. Or, like, that's the thing, what Eli Manning did is refuse to play for him.
Right, if Joe Burrow does that. And not to mention, isn't Jalen Hurts in this year's draft, too?
He is.
So, I mean, you got solid at the quarterback position.
I said solid, I didn't say good.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah, you are right in that respect. It's not the same kind of headliner, though, like we've had the past couple of years. Whether it be last year's, even last year was, it was mostly just Kyler at that point. And the year before, obviously, you have Baker Mayfield. Why can't I think of any of the other people? I'm talking about quarterback.
Oh, sorry.
Why Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Why can't I think of his name? Buffalo.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, thank you.
Oh, you got Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen unfortunately flopped, and
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold is all I can say. But I feel like we definitely have a wide receiver strength in the draft. That hasn't been seen in a while. I mean, sure, last year you had people like DK Metcalf and
Hollywood
Brown, Deebo Samuel, Mecole Hardman, those guys. But I mean, this year, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, some of those guys. Okay, don't take credit for Jerry
Henry
Jeudy.
Henry Ruggs.
Yes. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I feel like really the difference is going to be who's the impact player and who's not.
Yeah.
So then on to free agency, of course, which is the other way you can get players besides trading in the draft. I mean, it's too soon really to tell because people are still in the midst of signing and re-signing. But, I mean, a big name, of course, is Tom Brady. I mean, he's been a staple for the past 20 years in this league. And the question really is, where is he going to go? Is he going to stay in Foxborough, or will he end up somewhere like Tampa?
San Diego.
San Diego? You mean Los Angeles?
Oh, sorry,
now.
Los Angeles. I apologize.
Come on, what is this, 2016? No, but...
And here's the thing, I don't even know if Tom Brady knows the answer to that question, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, they're offering him $30 million, so...
Well, I mean, it's a light deal.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously want him in a Patriots uniform next year, but...
100%.
I don't know. I mean, the question really remains, how successful can he be when he's not being coached by Bill Belichick?
Well, there's only one way to find out.
I mean, yeah, that remains to be seen. Also, Phillip Rivers, as we touched upon in our last episode, we've said that LA doesn't want him anymore. He's going somewhere. A lot of people have seen Tampa Bay. I've seen potentially Indianapolis, who have just announced that they're not necessarily committed to Jacoby Brissett next year.
I could also see Carolina, depending on where Cam Newton goes.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Cam Newton, another big headliner, could be moving out of Carolina.
Well, I think they already said they're probably going to trade him somewhere.
So
it's just a question of where.
Right. And I mean, that's just the quarterback position. I mean, Stephon Diggs is getting shopped around. Supposedly, Everson Griffin is leaving the Vikings. And I realize I'm talking a lot about my Vikings here. But, I mean, you're talking a staple of the defense and the offense. So I think in next season we're going to see a reworking of teams on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
And then you got guys that are probably obviously going to resign. Like, I think Derrick Henry's obviously.
Yeah, and I mean Dak Prescott, too.
Yeah, and I think same with Amari Cooper. He's probably going to resign.
Amari Cooper would be interesting if he didn't resign.
Because obviously the Cowboys, I think their top priority is Dak.
Yeah. And that could put him between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. Also, like, guys like Chris Jones, obviously...
Chris Jones will probably re-sign with the Chiefs, and I mean, he wants to. So.
Jameis Winston, that's a big thing depending on where Phillip Rivers goes.
Yeah, and I mean, Jameis is... I don't know. I feel like he's one of those guys that'll create a storm wherever he goes, but there's not necessarily going to be a whole lot there.
Yeah.
He's really yet to prove himself. Yeah. And, of course, you have the XFL. I think we're in, like, week 3, but it's the XFL, and...
We don't know anything about the XFL.
Exactly, because, frankly, no one cares as much about the XFL as the NFL. So, moving on to the MLB, obviously, spring training has just started a couple of weeks ago. So, stay tuned for that as more people... continue to get ready for the upcoming season. You also have the Astros cheating scandal. I know that's really a sensitive subject at this point.
And we're kind of talking about it a little late.
A little late, but new developments keep coming up. I mean, you had what happened with the commissioner just calling the trophy a piece of metal.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, my issue is, or no, not my issue, but like my concern for the Well, Astros players have said they're receiving threats from people against their families and stuff. And I've also seen, like, basically every MLB player not on the Astros saying they got off lightly. And there was a study that came out or it's like an over-under by Bleacher Report that says Astros players are predicted to get hit by the most balls.
And I mean... Some of that is due, but at the same time, I feel like most of that is completely unreasonable.
Well, I mean the threats to the family.
Completely unreasonable.
I don't understand why people. I mean, like, I can understand people being a little upset. Sure.
I mean, sure, yeah, but we're talking about people.
It is baseball. It's not. This ain't life or death here.
Right. It's not like. We're talking about America's game, okay? It's called America's game because it is a game, okay? And I don't understand people.
No, we're not saying what the Astros did is, like...
Right. We're not condoning that, but at the same time, there's no reason to go threatening people who have literally nothing to do with the scandal, other than they're either, like, married to someone on the team or they're somebody's kids, like...
It's completely uncalled for.
Yeah, it's sad, honestly, that we've come to this. And yeah, perhaps maybe they have gotten off a little bit lightly, but at least as far as the league is concerned. But at the same time, I feel like you're talking death threats.
I mean, yeah.
That makes up for it more than enough.
I think what the players talking about is slightly in terms of, like, I don't know, like bans and stuff.
Yeah.
Such like that.
At the same time, you can't ban a whole franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can. It's just not practical, though. And frankly, the league is going to do whatever it can to make money, and that simply just doesn't
Well,
make money.
I know some, like, a lot of people wanted them to just be stripped of the title completely. Which, I mean, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously that's probably gave them a big reason of how they won.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I feel like there needs to be a deeper look into how much the sign stealing scandal really had to do with their ability to win.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it just needs to be looked at more.
Well, we'll see what happens because, like we said, new developments are coming through this scandal every day. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
So stay tuned for that. Moving on to the NBA. Last night, the Raptors absolutely shredded the Pacers, 127 to 81.
Hide your kids. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I said it last time. I'm gonna say it again. How about them Raptors? Like
we talked about before. Obviously, no Kawhi Leonard. Everyone thought they were gonna have a down year, but obviously,
people are stepping up.
This against a solid Pacers team.
Right.
I mean, like, there's not really much else to say other than wow. In all honesty.
I mean, I don't think anyone really saw that coming, and 46 points, like
that's unheard of by like a margin of victory in the NBA. Usually.
Right, and even when you're talking about teams like if the Bucks played the Knicks, like that's still okay. They won by 46 points. You kind of expect that because it's the Knicks, but the Pacers, who, if I'm not mistaken, are probably seated above the Raptors. Check on that for me.
I'll check on that.
But I mean, we're talking a very consistent Pacers team that just simply does not lose like that.
Okay, the Toronto's the 2 seed and the Pacers are the 6 seed.
Oh, never mind. Okay, well, anyway, even more credit to the Raptors being the 2 seed because it's the Bucks running away with it, the Raptors, and
they're only 6.5 games back of the Bucks. So if the Bucks go on a little skid,
I mean, yeah, but is that really going to happen?
Well, we'll talk about the Bucks later.
Well, I mean, we may as well just talk about them now. The Bucks have clinched their earliest playoff berth in 15 years.
No, that's actually in league history.
Okay,
it's in league
never
history.
mind.
JR,
you're updating my stats, and I don't like that you got it wrong.
No, because I think the Warriors did it twice in 58 back then. Like with Curry and Thompson and Katie and stuff, but they did in 56. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. So obviously, the Bucks probably, if they keep winning, they could have like almost like a record-breaking record.
Right. At the same time, though, I mean, just because they're winning a lot now doesn't mean that they're going to win in the postseason. I mean, how many times have we seen that?
Lamar Jackson.
I mean, yeah, Lamar Jackson. You want to talk? We were talking before the show. UMBC versus UVA. In 2016. No one saw that coming, and I mean, it's quite possible for that to happen. I mean, upsets do happen. I mean, the way the great Al Michaels has said it, miracles can happen. So,
that was a couple days ago. Miracle on Ice.
Yeah. Anyway, elsewhere in the NBA, we have problems in Washington, with Bradley Beal scoring his personal record of 53 points.
But still losing.
Yeah, and they still lost to... Who was it that they lost to?
Oh, shoot. Who was it? I don't know. It was...
Just look it up.
Oh, shoot, yeah. Actually, hold on. I have to go back to a point. JR was actually right about the 15 years thing.
Was he actually?
Yes.
You lied to me, Ethan. I'm sorry.
I saw a thing on Instagram that said
Kids, this is why you don't believe everything on the internet.
It was the Bulls. They lost to the Bulls.
Who?
The Wizards.
Oh, yeah, the Wizards lost to the Bulls despite Bradley Beal putting up 53 points.
Obviously, if you didn't see the video, Bradley Beal is just there shaking his head.
And I mean, you would be too if
yeah.
you've put up 53 points and
Now,
you're still losing.
Will Bradley Beal leave Washington? Maybe. Obviously, without John Wall.
Right. I think he is a large factor in that.
I think once John Wall comes back, maybe some of those problems do get solved. But at the same time, I don't know how long Bradley Beal's willing to wait for John Wall to come back.
Right. And especially in the past couple of years, John Wall has been especially injury prone. So there are considerable questions about his durability.
Hasn't he ruptured his Achilles twice in
a couple of years? Yeah. So there's durability questions about John Wall, and I think that really affects Beal's decision on whether or not he wants to stay in Washington. So stay tuned for that. I mean, the trade deadline has passed, but there's always a chance for him to leave in free agency or to leave next year.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we just recently had Kobe Bryant's memorial.
Well, it's actually going on right now.
Is it going on right now? Oh. So, very emotional time in the basketball world. We're not going to cover that too much. Just wanted to put that out there, though. Moving on to college basketball, the AP rankings came out earlier today.
I got them right here.
Some big moves within the top 25. We're talking about Penn State sliding 7 after losing to both Indiana and Illinois.
Yep.
As well as Michigan moving up 7 and surging forward from 26 to 19. As well as BYU.
Who beat Gonzaga.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, moved up 6 positions. So, a lot of movement.
Hold on, they moved up 8. They were 25th.
They moved up 8?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So a lot of movement going on in the basketball world. Baylor, of course, is not your number 1 anymore.
They lost to Kansas.
They lost to Kansas, and so Kansas is now your new number 1.
Baylor's still 2, so.
You have Gonzaga as the 3, Dayton as the 4.
San Diego State's 5.
Even. After losing to UNLV, surprise upset there.
Then you
6,
got Florida State.
Florida State, and 7 is Duke. 8 is Kentucky. 9 is Maryland still, and 10 is Creighton, who blew out Butler yesterday, who was the then 21 seed.
Yeah, they're not there anymore.
Yeah. So a lot of movement in the top 10 as well. Tonight, of course, we have Florida State versus Louisville. That'll be a big matchup.
Big implications for the ACC as a whole, especially between the 3 current leaders, we'll call them.
Right. I mean, this could essentially
decide it. Yeah,
and it could be almost a preview to perhaps what our ACC champion could look like. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of the ACC, let's take a moment to painstakingly agonize over Duke's huge, and I mean huge, loss to NC State. As I'm sitting across the table from our resident Duke fan. Explain to me how the 6th seed loses by 22 points to unranked NC State. Explain to me.
Well, you see, the refs are absolutely atrocious. Clearly,
and now you're blaming it on the refs.
No, I'm completely joking. Yeah. So, I don't even know where to start. Well, let me just take a look at the stats real quick.
I mean, I know you mentioned the day after that you just felt like emotionally this was going to be a loss. I mean, you come off of 2 emotional victories against UNC and FSU. And
all right, well, I have the stats here. So
you're riding high and you're about to fall.
So Duke shot 24% from the 3-point line.
Yeah, that'll do it.
NC State shot 62%.
Uh-huh.
Duke shot 37% from the field.
Yikes.
NC State shot 45%.
Okay.
Duke was 45% in free throws, and NC State was 76.
So it just sounds that Duke doesn't know how to make buckets.
Well, in that game. Because obviously we did just beat Virginia Tech by 22. So.
Yes.
But I'm not. I'm giving a lot of credit to NC State. They played very well. They were ready for that game, and Duke wasn't. So I think that was the main deciding factor in this game.
Yeah.
And this pains me. I can't believe I'm saying this right now, but this pains me to say. That's maybe one of the worst performances by Duke I've ever seen, in all honesty.
And just to make it even more painful, I will add that at this point against Duke, NC State was, I believe, 17-10.
When they played, they were 16-9.
Or 16-9, excuse me. They're 17-10 now.
Yeah.
When UMBC played UVA, UMBC was 25-10. If you do the math on that, okay, supposing you played the same 35 games. I am going to do the math on that. Or I will let you do the math on that.
Okay. So what am I looking up?
You know what? I'm just going to grab a calculator at this point. You have the 25-10, so 16-9.
Mm-hmm.
Their win-to-loss ratio was 1.77.
Okay.
25-10. Their win-loss ratio was 2.5. So NC State was worse than UMBC. They were winning almost 3/4 of a game less than UMBC.
All right. Yeah. Duke lost the game. We're still 22-4. So, and I mean, we play in state again. So I'm assuming it's revenge time.
It's revenge time. Yeah. So anyway, moving on.
JR really liked that segment, I bet.
Oh, he will enjoy that royally.
Well, I mean, we could talk about Michigan State. They did just get back into the top 25.
They did.
And I said they wouldn't. So.
You're just digging a deeper hole for yourself, man.
I don't know.
So,
it wasn't my week this week. That's all I gotta say.
Who do you think the title favorite is at this point? Because the water is really murky.
I mean, there are like, I feel like any team in the top 30 could win. In all honesty.
And I mean, how often have we seen weird upsets?
Loyola Chicago.
Yes, or this is not actually to make fun of Duke, but in all seriousness, when C.J. McCollum and Lehigh took down Duke in a huge upset, anything can really happen.
Wait, aren't you a Wisconsin fan?
I am, yes.
What happened in 2015, the finals? Oh.
Okay, yes, even that. But my point is, there are bracket wreckers every year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I do want to
throw this in. Michigan State losing to Middle Tennessee State. Sorry, Jared. I just had to throw that in there.
Clearly, yes.
My favorite. I mean, every top 10 looks just really good.
Or even if they're not really good, really competitive.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a bit of a wild card here, and I'm gonna say Gonzaga.
Really?
Yeah.
I was honestly, my emotional who I want to win favorite would be Dayton. I would love to see a school like Dayton just go out and win.
Sure, of course, I would too. But I feel like...
Or San Diego State.
I feel like Gonzaga, when healthy, is the best team in college basketball. Now, granted, they didn't show that against BYU, but...
Yeah.
Then again, BYU's atmosphere in that stadium, if you watch that game, it was insane. Like,
and I mean, it's hard playing away anywhere. So
I mean, yeah. So as we saw with Duke and NC State, but
you can't blame 22 points
okay,
on
yeah,
not
okay,
being
yeah.
at home.
I know. I can't.
We'll just stop talking about it. I don't know. I really don't have a favorite. I would like to see someone like Dayton or San Diego State winning.
Everyone knows who I want to win.
Well, yes. I
Everyone
would
knows
love
who
to
JR
see
wants to
Wisconsin win too, but it's not going to happen.
No.
Yes. So moving on to women's hoops. Sabrina Ionescu has become the first player to have 2,000, 1,000, and 1,000 in all college hoops. That's
men's and women's.
right. And that's in their recent win over Cal. So congrats to her. She's been setting records all season.
I think she has potential to be like one of the best WNBA players to ever play.
Could be, yeah.
If she used that potential well, she easily could be.
Right. Moving on from hoops in general to the NHL. Did I miss something?
Oh, I thought we were moving on to NASCAR, but we can talk about the NHL.
Well, I figured we may as well just go up on the sheet. So.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Hurricanes. Used a Zamboni driver and relief goalie in an emergency
situation.
Yes,
and they won.
And they won their game against I forget who. But
even any team, it's still like amazing. Like
yeah, I mean, credit to them, credit to the goalie. I mean, he's a relief goalie for Toronto's minor league team. Or, excuse me, not a relief. Actually, I think he is a relief goalie for Toronto's minor league team. And he's a Zamboni driver as well. So kudos to him getting off the bench and going out there and getting it done. And when he went off, they were already down by 2. So congrats to them.
Yeah.
And Ovechkin finally gets his 700 goals. Congrats to him.
As much as me and
you Penguins fan.
Me and JR, pain to say it, Alex Ovechkin's a very good hockey player.
Oh, there's no denying that.
Obviously,
yes.
And if you don't know, me and JR are big Penguins fans. So, and obviously the Capitals are like the biggest rival of the Penguins.
Right.
So, yeah.
I have New York Rangers, so I have no ground to say anything.
So 700 goals. I think he's like one of 8 or something to do it.
And I mean, congrats to him. Like,
obviously going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Right. Moving on from the NHL to the world of boxing. You had Fury versus Wilder 2.
Fury won.
Right. And it seems that he is open to
a rematch. Either a rematch against Deontay Wilder or possibly a fight with Anthony Joshua. So we'll see what Wilder's decision is. So.
Right. So other than that, that's boxing. Moving on to NASCAR, obviously, we had the Daytona 500.
Denny Hamlin won.
Yep, that was last Sunday.
But we did have a scary incident involving Ryan Newman.
Ryan Newman, if you don't know, was in the lead. He had surged to the lead on the final lap to pass Denny Hamlin, with, I believe, Ryan Blaney in tow, and somehow got loose. The car got turned around, flipped, and ran down the straightaway, burning and cycling as if it was a tumbling rock.
No, we're also happy to report that he's out of the hospital and is doing
well.
But there was a moment there where his conditions were serious, but considered
non-life threatening. So scary times for the whole Newman family. But glad to hear that he's okay. Denny Hamlin, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, won by less than a 2-second margin. It was a photo finish.
It was very close.
Which is the second year, at least in the past 3, that Denny Hamlin has done this. he went for the three-peat and he got it 3 years in a row. But he seems to have a knack for close finishes at Daytona. Also, yesterday, we had the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas. Joey Logano won with Matt DiBenedetto, of all people, on his tail. And if you don't know, Matt DiBenedetto has kind of been one of those journeyman NASCAR drivers who he's always been one of the smaller team kind of guys who hasn't really done much or hasn't had the resources to do a whole lot. But kudos to him being able to go and get second place and challenge for the lead like that at Las Vegas. And that's that. Moving on to top soccer.
Just to say, Liverpool is now up 3-2 against West Ham.
Oh, really? Okay, they were down 1-2 with 59
We were
going to
talk about that and see how it went, but obviously now Liverpool's winning. So
right, but even so, I mean, they lost to Atletico in the Champions League 1-0. So it's probably just a fluky kind of loss, but who knows? Maybe it signals something bigger.
And then obviously we got the Manchester City ban.
Right, for financial reasons. But now apparently there has been talk of the EPL potentially relegating. To the championship as a punishment. However, most teams in the Premier League are against that, and they feel that it would, quote, turn the league into a circus. So stay tuned for that. Much as I don't like Man City and would kind of like to see what would happen if they were in the Champions League, or not the Champions League, excuse me, the championship. It would be interesting. I have a feeling they just blow everybody out. But, it seems a little bit of a harsh punishment.
Yeah, but, obviously, don't be messing with the money.
Yeah. Also, Ronaldo has scored in 11 straight. Not a whole lot of surprise there, given that it's Ronaldo, one of the best soccer players in the world.
Or to ever exist.
Right.
One of the best. We're not getting into that debate.
We'll not get into that. I think, you know what? Let's get into this.
Okay, alright. If you want to go for it, let's do it.
I'm down. Let's do this.
Alright, since you started this argument, I want to hear who the best player of all time is.
Pele.
I'm actually with you on that.
Okay.
I am with you on that.
There's no debate here then. I feel like Pele, just the persona, the aura, as well as his playing ability. You talk about people of his era. There aren't many that I could actually name besides Pele. Like, that's the kind of aura that he has about him. He's practically not even practically. He is a legend in Brazil. And
he's a legend everywhere.
He's a legend worldwide. So I really don't think there's anyone who could really challenge that.
Obviously you're going to have the Argentinian saying Diego
Messi.
Maradona.
Okay, yeah.
Or, obviously, Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. He's in the top 10 probably, but...
Yeah, 100%. I don't think. Who else is noteworthy there?
You got the Germans, of course, with their long line of championship teams and everyone who's been on there. Jurgen Klopp has had a lot of success as a manager, but if I'm not mistaken, he was on multiple World Cup teams.
Obviously you got one of the most electrifying players, Pulisic.
You just wanted to shout out to a guy from central Pennsylvania, didn't you?
Hey, I gotta represent.
Yeah.
He's like one of the best American soccer players now.
Right.
I know
him and Weston McKennie, yeah.
I know isn't saying that much, because American soccer's a little...
Right.
Well, I should say Americans men's soccer's pretty bad.
Yeah. Everyone knows about our women's team.
Yeah, we're
although our men's team isn't terrible, but we're working on it.
They have been.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it for top soccer. Finally, moving on to the world of tennis. Not a whole lot going on now. A lot of minor tournaments. No majors yet. But Roger Federer announced recently that he has had surgery on his knee. and will be out for the French Open, but fully intends on making a recovery in time for Wimbledon, which I should hope so, given that grass has always been his strong suit over clay.
Yeah.
So, and I think if there were a time for him to miss a major, it would be at the French Open. And I mean, we all know Nadal's going to win anyway, so...
And just going back to soccer for a second, Liverpool did win. We can
They
confirm
did win?
They win.
Okay.
They won 3-2.
Against West Ham, though, so that's still a bit of a scare there.
West Ham.
West Ham.
West Ham.
You could say it however you like, okay? It's...
Did you almost fall?
I did almost fall, okay? Anyway.
JR, we need you back.
Yeah, we do need you back, JR. Anyway, that's that for Double FM Sports. Once again, and signing off, I'm Todd File.
I'm Ethan Fager, and hopefully we should have JR back for the next episode.
Hopefully.
And we might have a special guest.
We may or may not have a special guest. We almost have one today.
We're not going to say who.
He was not feeling well and could not be with us. So if you liked this episode, please click that like button. Feel free to follow our Instagram page as well as our YouTube channel. And until next week, signing off for Double FM Sports. Have an awesome week.
Take care, guys.